Okay, good evening, everyone. I'd like to call to order the Board of Education meeting for Monday, July 27th, 2026. Ms. Sauber, can you call the roll, please?
Kathy Crippen. Here. Mrs. Dernbaugh. Here. Dr. Graff. Here. Mr. Peters.
Here.
Megan Sparks.
Here. And because we're on summer break, I had a hard time finding a student to do the pledge tonight, so we'll just do it ourselves. Please stand. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, can I please get an approval of the agenda as presented?
So moved.
Ms. Sauber, could you call the roll, please?
Kathy Crippen.
Yes.
Mrs. Dernbaugh.
Yes.
Dr. Graff.
Yes.
Mr. Peters.
Yes.
Megan Sparks.
Yes. Okay, next part is public participation. The Board of Education recognizes the value to school governance of public comment on educational issues and the importance of allowing members of the public to express themselves on school matters of community interest. The presiding officer of each board meeting at which public participation is permitted shall administer the following rules of the board. First, the portion of the meeting for participation of the public shall be limited to 30 minutes. Attendees must register their intention to participate on a sign-up sheet 30 minutes prior to each meeting. Individuals may not register others to speak, and no participant may speak more than once. Participants must first be recognized by the presiding officer and will be requested to preface their comments by an announcement of their name and whether the participant is a resident or non-resident, and if appropriate, their group affiliation. Each statement made by a participant shall be limited to 3 minutes or less. The board will listen to all who speak, but generally do not engage in discussion or dialogue at this time. Matters requiring a follow-up will be directed to the superintendent. And it looks like we have two tonight. The first one is Miss Cleveland. Please come on up to the podium. Yes.
All right. Well, first, I just want to say Happy Disability Pride Month. It is the month of July. Yesterday was the 36th anniversary of the ADA being passed. So we're 36 years into this. So with that, I wanted to talk a little bit. The flag, the Disability Pride flag, it has colors. Red is for physical. Gold is for cognitive and intellectual. White is for invisible and undiagnosed. Blue is psychiatric and mental health. Green is sensory abilities. And the black, or the dark gray, is for mourning and rage against those that have been oppressed. So, with that, I just wanted to bring that because that is important. That's a very important month to me. But I do want to advocate, once again, for those represented by that blue line. Centerville, in my opinion, struggles with serving and caring for staff and students that have mental health and psychiatric disabilities. There is, because we don't have because we are largely teachers in the school districts. That makes sense, right? But teachers have been empowered and administration have been empowered to make decisions and that are not always appropriate, making determination on if something is like an actual symptom when it comes to mental health that does not occur with physical health. That's not appropriate. We should not be making a statement of, of value when it comes to mental health as a someone who does not practice mental health. That's not credentialed mental health provider. But that those biases then turn into more of a statement in regards to my brain just went crazy. I'm sorry. But those statements really impact the outcome for our students and our staff. We can't be making those generalized statements. We can't say, hey, that anger is not related to your disability of depression, because there's studies out there. There's plenty of support out there in regards to that. So to not link those two, and when someone reports that, it's not an appropriate response. So we cannot be allowing administration and staff to not be accountable to what is actually a symptom of a diagnosis. So anyway, we can't be punishing people for symptoms of their diagnosis. We need to be supporting people for symptoms of their diagnosis. Punishment doesn't work. Whether it's, like within their 504 plan, or if it's in a staff, improvement plan. Punishment itself, when it comes to mental health, is ineffective. There's studies out there. There's, lots of people who, am I at my time?
Yes.
Did you forget to time it?
I didn't hear it go off. And
Oh, I didn't hear it either. I apologize.
I looked and saw, so sorry.
All right. Sorry.
Thank you. All right, the next person, I'm sorry if I don't say your name right. Richard, is it Hughes?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Richard Hughes, please come up to the podium.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, Superintendent Wesley and members of the board. Thank you for having me. I'm Richard Hughes, Post Commander of Veterans of Foreign Wars, Post 9550 here in Centerville. One thing I want to let everyone know is that, again, this year we will be sponsoring youth scholarships for middle schoolers and high schoolers in the district. The Patriots Pen for middle schoolers, Voice Democracy oral presentation for high schoolers. It's a youth scholarship that promotes civics, promotes public speaking, critical thought, hones writing skills, and also offers money towards those efforts from the students. This year's rubric and this year's theme is What Veterans Taught Me About America. So a middle schooler writes 300 to 500 words on that. A senior does 3 to 4 minutes, presents that. We grade them, and they, if eligible, the top 3 will win scholarships. A junior from this high school won at our post here in Centerville. She got $500, competed in the Miami Valley, District 3, got $1,000 more, and was in the top 15 in the state of Ohio and got $3,000. So for a modicum of work, got $4,500. So all the English teachers, civics teachers, government teachers, language arts, again, VFW Post 9550. You can go to our website, VFW Post 9550. Here in Centerville, or you can go up to VFW Ohio. Some things we've been doing down at the post recently are, again, we presented the colors at the Independence Day fireworks. We led the Americana Festival Parade. And earlier, at the end of last year, we hosted a night where folks who are enlisting in the forces, going to service academies or ROTC, and their families are welcome to come meet with our veterans who've been serving from the Second World War to now and ask any question they like. It was catered by Miss Cheryl down at Mission Barbecue, and we'll be doing that again this year with the concurrence of the high school. And then lastly, I want to bring up is that Sunday is August 2nd. August 2nd is the 36th anniversary of the initiation of Operation Desert Shield, which culminated in Desert Storm and the Persian Gulf War. So for the last 36 years, we've had large-scale operations in the Middle East from then till now, with 0.7% of the population in an all-volunteer force. And lastly, any CHS alumni, student, member of the community who served in the forces, you're welcome to join us, join our community organization. We do things primarily for the community and for veterans and their families. Pending any questions, that's all I have. Thank you for your time.
Next on the agenda is board and administration reports. Nope, just kidding. Oh no, I skipped that. I'm sorry. Yeah, public notice, rehiring retired employees. The Centerville City School Board of Education is holding this hearing in accordance with Section 3307.353 of the Ohio Revised Code that West Unit teacher Scott Long is seeking reemployment with the district in the same position following retirement effective August 2026. Any person or organization may address the board on this matter at this time. Speakers are requested to address the board from the podium and must register the intention to participate on a sign-up sheet 30 minutes prior to the meeting. Speakers should follow the same procedure as outlined above for the public participation. And I don't see anyone for that. So, can we pass this out, please? Thank you. Now we can go on to board administrative reports. Sorry about that. Legislative report is Dr. Graff.
Thank you. Good evening. The General Assembly remains on its summer break, so tonight I'm going to start by just reviewing the few education-related bills that were signed by Governor DeWine since our last meeting. Next month, the plan will be to present a few of the many education-related bills that remain in the General Assembly and may see movement this fall. Just as a reminder, and I know some of the student reps, we've spoken a little bit about this, we anticipate that when the General Assembly returns after the November elections, bills may be combined, moved very quickly, and with kind of the minimum required notice and testimony. So if there's a particular bill or topic that you would like to track, support, or oppose, I'd encourage you to research that bill now. Perhaps contact your local legislator to tell your story and voice your opinion during this summer recess, and then have your talking points and testimony drafted and ready to go so that you are able to respond rapidly once we have those notices if needed. If you have any questions about how to do this, you're welcome to reach out to me anytime, and I am happy to provide some resources and guides on how to track some of that legislation and what testimony can look like. So as far as the list of bills that were signed into law since our last meeting, that does include House Bill 455 and House Bill 479, which we kind of looked at a little more in depth last month. House Bill 455 is the Education Omnibus Bill, and House Bill 479 started out as a physician supervision of IV contrast administration for radiologic studies, and then turned into a budget cleanup bill that involved information about the sales tax holiday for 2027, as well as the homestead exemption and some calculations for inside millage. So that kind of changed dramatically. Then we have Senate Bill 276, which is also one that became kind of a conglomerate of things, and Senate Bill 19, which is math improvement and monitoring. So here's a little bit on House Bill 455. We've talked about that before, so we can go through that one. And the same with 479. There are the pieces that we talked about. So Senate Bill 276, this is an example of what we may see more of this fall, which is why I put it up here. This piece of legislation was amended drastically from how it was initially introduced. It was initially presented as a bill aimed to ratify the Interstate Compact for School Psychologists for licensing ease across state lines. It then included some continuing education requirements instead of just suggestions for the Interstate Compact for massage therapists. And then it was subsequently amended to add what was known as Senate Bill 156 into this legislation, requiring students in public schools to receive instruction on what is known as the success sequence. And the success sequence is this idea that the sequence of high school graduation followed by full-time employment, then marriage before having children, is what we should be teaching in a course that every student will need to have at some point prior to graduation. And proponent testimony on this reported that based on multiple sources, it was a sequence of actions that would lead to a decrease in poverty rates. The bill also includes a provision that the Ohio Department of Education and Workforce must research and provide a report to the General Assembly by November of this year on the use of a single statewide, nationally referenced hybrid assessment that would reduce state assessments from the diagnostic assessments, achievement assessments, and end of course assessments into one nationally norm referenced assessment, which on the surface sounds kind of great to cut down all these testing, and it talks about cutting down testing times and things like that. It's just, and the chair of the House Education Committee, Chair Fowler Arthur, has been she has talked about this at every meeting I have seen her attend, and so I'd be curious to see what comes of it. I mean, what they will do with it. And then it also enacts the Student Athlete Mobility Act, which is a bill that looks at allowing student athletes to participate in other districts in sports that aren't offered in their home district. And there's lots of pieces and parts to that as well. So that is that compilation of things that don't seem to go together. And then finally, I know we've talked about Senate Bill 19 quite a bit, and as I look at our curriculum team, there's a lot in here. So Senate Bill 19 was Senator Brenner's kind of project through this entire General Assembly. This affects multiple areas of math achievement reporting, intervention, assessment, and acceleration. And there are lots of parts to it, and it has changed multiple times. It also does, I'll just note, the focus was on math improvement, but there are pieces of this that also then go back and include the reading and ELA improvement plans, which was a whole separate set of legislation with what we called RIMPs a couple of years ago. And so I'm not entirely sure how those are going to blend together, but there's kind of this either or when you identify students and then how they come off of some of these improvement plans. So it seems like it's going to be rather complex. Beginning with the 2026-27 school year, districts are going to be required to report to ODU to provide evidence that they're providing evidence-based academic interventions for students who demonstrate a limited proficiency in math and or the ELA subjects on their state assessments. They do have exceptions in there for students with an IEP or that are in environments such as the School of Possibilities. There is a requirement to notify parents and guardians if a student qualifies for the interventions, describe what those services will be, who will be providing them. You have to provide resources and guidance for how parents can assist in the process, and then provide periodic updates on how that's going. They do give a list in the analysis of the bill on what evidence-based interventions are. It's a little different because in this individual piece of it, there aren't mandated curriculum options, but there are then when you look at the school-based interventions. So they describe high dosage tutoring, which is at least 3 days per week or at least 50 hours over 36 weeks. And districts must endeavor to provide each of a student's tutoring supports with the same tutor. You can have additional instructional time, an extended school calendar, participation in a learning support program, or any other academically centered support service that the district or school determines will improve a student's academic performance. So there's a little bit of leeway there. They also then went to discuss advanced learning opportunities. So Senator Brenner's comments were, we don't just want to reach out to the kids who are not proficient, but we want to make sure that we've addressed those students who should be accelerated. So it eliminates the current law regarding advanced math courses and it outlines a new process for qualifying. This was a place that was a lot of discussion when the bill was being developed. So initially it was just if a student scored as advanced on the state test, they needed to be accelerated. Now the district can determine combined measures, so the assessment they want to use plus class grades or an average. The focus is primarily on accelerating 7th and 8th grade students. So if you are a 7th grader who has been identified as advanced in math, then you are going to be asked to take this combined 7th and 8th grade math curriculum during your 7th grade year. You then have to take and do well on the 8th grade OST, and then you would be promoted into Algebra 1 for the 8th grade, which is kind of this overall goal that seems to come out of it. The other piece for us to know up here at the table is that the school board must adopt a comprehensive math placement and promotion policy within 90 days of the bill's effective date, which is going to be September 23rd of this year. And then there are also provisions in this bill that mandate that a district has to submit, starting this year, 26-27, a school-based math improvement plan to the Ohio Department of Education and Workforce if 51% or less of a building's third grade students score proficient or higher on the math state test. So if half of your students are not scoring at least proficient, then you have to do a school-based improvement plan that selects from a prescribed list of curriculum that ODU has to publish. And there are all kinds of rules about that too, and templates and things like that. It is going to be important. Some of the pieces of the bill are implemented for this school year. Some don't go into effect until 27-28. So we'll have to keep a close eye on that. And then, as always, here are our local legislators. Please reach out to them. We are also in election season, so I would encourage folks to tell your story not only to our current legislators, but to candidates. Listen and hear where people are coming from, what their perspectives are on public education or other issues that matter to you, and then be prepared in November to vote accordingly. That is all I have for today.
Dr. Graff. Next on the agenda is student board reports, but I believe we don't have one this month. Should be a long one next month, though. Going on, financial update with Ms. Sauber.
Good evening, everyone. We, this evening, are going to talk about one of my favorite topics, and that is property reappraisal. I'm guessing that many of you received your notice from the Montgomery County Auditor's Office probably within the last few days. Those were mailed out a week ago. And so if you haven't, it will be hitting your mailbox shortly. The first thing that I want to say about property reappraisal, this is not a function of the school district. This is a function of the county auditor's office. It happens in all 88 counties in Ohio on a rotating cycle. Every 3 years, there's a process that's going on. And so, again, I think it's just important that we remember this is for all property taxes. So it's impacting the township, it impacts the library, all of the government entities that receive property taxes, even the counties as well. So first, let's just talk about what is the property reappraisal. And can I just say, it feels like I was just standing here talking about this. It actually was 3 years ago, but it feels like I was just talking about this. And so this was a full, or I shouldn't say was, it's ongoing. This is all tentative information. It's ongoing through December. But it is a full property reappraisal. It's required every 6 years. They literally are setting foot, so to speak, on every property. And when I say they, I mean the county auditor contracts with a company to go out and do that. So that year is 2026 for us. The tentative values are available. I'm going to give those to you tonight. What we did 3 years ago was called the triennial update. That is more a market adjustment where they take a look at the sales that are happening out in communities, how much are homes selling for, and they make adjustments more on a neighborhood basis versus individual properties. So this, though, is the bigger process where each property is evaluated. And I'll remind you, last 3 years ago, that update was a 31.3% overall increase for Centerville and Washington Township. So for our district, it was a 31.3% increase. The Montgomery County Auditor has a great website. They have videos that I've looked at out on YouTube. There are a lot of resources if you are interested in learning more about this, but I did link that page here on this slide. So again, very tentative values, because there's a process that individuals, if you don't agree with the value that the auditor sets for you, you have an opportunity to reach out to the county auditor's office and talk to them about why they assigned the value that they did to your home. And so they'll make adjustments as they go. So that's why this is all tentative. But for us, the residential value is increasing tentatively by 13.3%. Commercial value is 17.3%, giving us a district-wide property increase of 13.8%. That, from my perspective, is what I would consider to be, from a percentage standpoint, a normal reappraisal compared to the 30-some% that we had 3 years ago. The interesting piece to that, though, is that Montgomery County as a whole, that percentage is 19.5%. Commercial property, there are some really large increases in commercial property throughout the entire county, and you can see even ours is high, right? 17.3%. It's higher than our average, but a lot of the commercial property is driving the percentage up. Again, tentative information. So one of the questions that I always want to address is, does this increase in property value equate to a 13.3% increase in our revenue? And the answer is overwhelmingly no. That is not happening. We will not receive a 13.3% increase in our revenue, and that's because of House Bill 920, which we're going to get into in a couple minutes. But do we get additional revenue? And the answer to that is yes, we do. We get additional revenue from inside millage. So every taxpayer pays 10 mills at the full voted rate. That is allocated. Some goes to the county, some goes to the township, some goes to the school district as well. We receive 5.25 of those 10 mills. And again, that's always at full voted rate. So that is where we do see some increase in revenue. However, this year, because of some legislation that was passed over the winter, House Bill 335 is limiting that inside millage to the rate of inflation. So instead of a 13.8% increase, we're going to see probably about 9.3%. I don't have all the exact numbers on that yet, again, because this is all tentative, but I believe it's going to be around 9.3%. So that 5.25 mils is no longer really going to be 5.25 mils. There's going to be almost like a rollback, like an effective rate, like we see with our voted millage. So again, I'm still learning all of this because this is brand new for everyone, this House Bill 335, but that is what I'm anticipating. The information that I did receive is that this will be about a $1.4 million increase in operating revenue per year. We have that built into our 5-year forecast or our financial forecast, and we always do. We always factor in inflationary pieces every 3 years. If it weren't for House Bill 335, though, that would have been $2.1 million. So the intention of House Bill 335 and some other pieces of legislation, they were calling it property tax reform, and it was to try to give property taxes back to the residents. And so this is an example where we're not receiving that money. And I believe if people really look closely at their tax bill, there's going to be a credit on there. And so again, the tax bills just went out not too long ago, and so this is all new information. The other place that we get additional revenue is through new construction. So we always factor in a little bit of new construction as well because we have houses that are popping up in various neighborhoods throughout the district. So a reminder of House Bill 920 and what is it? And I'm talking now about voted levies. So this is not inside millage. This is voted levies. In 1976, this House Bill 920 was passed into law, and it was to protect the Ohio taxpayers from experiencing large increases in taxes. So like 3 years ago, we had that 30% increase in value. Taxpayers did not see a 30% increase on their tax bills, and so that was the purpose of that legislation. Voted mills do not equal effective mills. And again, that's an important piece. Voted mills, that was the original request. As value goes up, the effective millage drops down so that we get the same amount of revenue. And so the effective mills are never what the voted rate was. And I want to show you an example of that. It's an inverse relationship. And so, again, property value goes up, the effective rates go down. And I have two examples here. 1985, the district passed a 4.5 mil levy for operations. Today, we collect an effective rate of 1.51 mils. With this reappraisal, tentatively, again, it's tentative, I believe that effective rate will become 1.33. So every time our value goes up, that effective rate is going down. And every taxpayer, no matter what house you live in or what neighborhood you live in, you're going to pay 1.33 mils on that 1985 levy. Again, it was voted in at 4.5. Over the years, it's reduced down and reduced down over time. Same thing for the 2019 levy. That was a 5.9 mil levy. It's currently at 3.93. And I believe after the reappraisal, it's going to be closer to the 3.47 mil range. Again, effective mills. So we're going to hear from people that their tax bills went up. There are reasons that it will go up. Number one, if a new levy was passed, the district doesn't have any kind of new levy, no operating levy, no bond, no permanent improvement levy. There was nothing passed that will make individuals go up. But if the township passed something, if the library, the park, the county, if any of those other entities that we're paying taxes on passed a new levy, that causes your taxes to go up. You'll also pay more on the inside millage. I just said that it's going to be not 13.3% on that inside millage, or 13.8. It's going to be closer to 9.3% because of House Bill 335, but there will be an increase on inside millage. The other place is that all values are not equal in terms of percentage increases. And so we talked a lot 3 years ago about taxpayer A, B, and C. And what did your value do compared to your neighbor or compared to the neighborhood across the street? And if you go up about the equal amount of what the average is, you'll see a very slight increase because of that inside millage. But if you go up more than the average, you are going to see an increase. It's a redistribution of who is paying the taxes. We're not getting more money for those voted levies. The township's not getting more money for those voted levies. And so I was asked the question, well, who gets it? It's taxpayer C. They get the money, so to speak, because their bill is going down, but we don't hear from them. And 3 years ago, I found examples. I found actual property bills on the county auditor's website. I found examples of exactly that, where some people had decreases in their taxes because of this idea of redistributing the property value across the community. So that's a lot. But I think it's important because we're not hearing from those individuals whose taxes go down, right? There's definitely individuals who experience tax increases, but it is because of this process that is a county-wide process. It's throughout the state. One of the estimates that the auditor has given is that throughout the county, again, I mentioned that tentative increase countywide was 19.5%, but the majority of places will see a 1.5% to a 2% increase in tax revenue. So again, the tax increase or the value increase does not equal the revenue increase. Any questions about that before I move on to the next topic? And we can come back to if you think of something. We'll talk about this again when we get final numbers. That'll probably be in December. I'll bring this back so that we can touch on it again. Just to hit a few highlights, a reminder about the timeline on finances. We have just comfortably closed fiscal year 26. That's a process. We do lots of checks and we do, a lot of like cleanup and just making sure all the grants are in good order before we close the fiscal year. We just finished that up in the last couple of weeks. We're starting to fill in our financial master plan so that we can do our next set of projections. We're not finished with that yet. Normally, we talk about that in September for either an October or a November approval of a forecast. The timeline changed and we're required to approve a forecast in August now. And so next month, you're going to see the spreadsheet. I'm not going to show you a spreadsheet tonight. I'm going to hit some highlights, but you'll see the spreadsheet and we'll talk a lot about that at the work session with a recap at the regular meeting as well. But then at the regular meeting, I'll be asking you to approve the financial forecast. I don't like that timeline at all because I feel like Mr. Tarpey is just finishing up staffing. I haven't asked him the question yet if we're fully staffed at 100%, but we don't make the first pay on our new contracts until in September. And so it's really hard to put together projections for you until that happens, but we're going to do it because it's a compliance piece. But what I may do is turn around in October or November and give you a revision. It's not going to be far off, but if there are things that I want to make sure that we have updated, we may do a revision mid-year. I don't normally do that, but we might consider doing that this year. So from a revenue perspective, we ended, and this is comparing to our February estimate. And I actually gave you a lot of these numbers back in May. It is how we ended up. So we've already talked about a lot of this, but we ended up about $1.8 million over our estimate from February. That's about 1.3% of what our revenue estimate is, and $1.8 million is a lot of money, but from a percentage perspective, we were pretty close. And that really was property tax collections and interest earnings. The property tax collection piece, I have a really hard time estimating that we're going to collect 100% of our property taxes, because as soon as I do, somebody's going to not make a payment, and it'll be a big one, and we'll be under our estimate. And so I project 99%. A lot of districts throughout the county project like 95% or 96%. So our collection is very, very good year over year, but that is why we're under estimate, is because of the property tax collections. And then the only other big piece was interest earnings. Interest rates stayed really good, and they stayed much higher than what I thought they would. I thought that we would see a decline in those interest rates, but they held pretty steady throughout the year, so that's a great thing. On the expense side of things, we ended the year about $3.9 million under budget. That's just a little over 3% of what our total budget was. I like to be a little closer than that, but we're to the good side. So it's better to be further under than obviously be over budget. And so, and really, like, it's hard to point to any one thing. It really was in all categories of our spending. We were a little bit under in wages and benefits, and then our department budgets, a lot of the various department budgets we just didn't spend. And I think that that's a testament to the work that our department leaders do, and they really make sure that they're staying in line with budgets. This is just a snippet from our February forecast. The green arrow is the FY26 surplus line. So if you remember, there's a line on the forecast that I talk a lot about. It's that 6.010. Are we operating at a surplus, or are we deficit spending? And after you pass a levy, the goal is to operate at a surplus for a period of time, because then once you start to deficit spend, because it's inevitable, right? Eventually, we're going to deficit spend. You want to make sure that you've built that surplus up a little, or that your reserves up a little bit, so that you can allow yourself to deficit spend when that time comes before your next operating ask. So we already were predicting that we would end with a surplus of $8.5 million, but adding in the 1.8 that we were to the good on the revenue side, and the 3.9 that we were under from a budget perspective, that actually makes our final surplus for 26 to be about 14.3%. And again, you'll see this all in spreadsheet form next month when we get that all ready for you, ready to view. And that makes our cash balance at the end of the year about $55.9 million. And that is a big increase from where we started the year. I do want to point out that that's about 45% of our operating expenses for fiscal year 26. The 45% is important because if you remember the conversations from the last budget cycle about the cash balance reserves, 40% was kind of where the legislature had landed on until Governor DeWine vetoed that provision of the budget. I think that that conversation is maybe coming back with this next budget cycle. So we're going to have to watch that a little bit and just be prepared for that. But more to come on that later. So we'll see what happens with that. And I just want to end with, so what happens with that money? So what options does the district have with both the surplus and our ending cash balance, where surplus is part of the ending cash balance, but what options do we have? We can spend it. right? I mean, we have a strategic plan, we have strategic initiatives. We're piloting all-day kindergarten. So there are some opportunities there potentially in the future to maybe take a look at some of those, that surplus and if we have space. And there's a lot that goes into that conversation, right? And we're not going to solve that tonight, but that's a piece. We've also been talking about facilities now for years. And Mr. Wesney is going to give us an update, I think, tonight on kind of where we're at with that process. So we have two huge strategic initiatives that's in our plan that we could choose to spend that money if we wanted to. The other thing we can do with it is we can extend our levy cycle. And so, the more cash we have on hand, the longer we can operate before we have to go back to the voters and ask for the next operating levy. And so, again, we're not solving that tonight, but that'll be a conversation that we're having in the coming months and years, really. I mean, because we had promised that the most recent levy would last us, 5 to 6 years. I could see that being a little bit longer now with this, and so we'll talk about that next week a little bit. We'll take a look at those numbers to see how far out that could potentially get us, knowing that we've got multiple state budget cycles and things that are coming along the way in the meantime. So that's it for me tonight, unless you have any questions. Okay, thank you.
Next is student services update, but I believe Mr. Wesney would like to see a few words.
Yes, thank you. So tonight, we do have a special presentation from our student services department, so I'm excited about that. But I would like to take a minute to talk publicly about an issue that we had in the school year in regards to a former employee and students at Watts Middle School. At the end of the school year, the district sent out a following message, and I'm just going to read this so that I have that message accurate to all of you publicly tonight. Our district leadership team received a report of potential employee misconduct on Wednesday, May 20th, 2026. The district immediately contacted the Montgomery County Sheriff's Office, as well as met with the detective and school resource officers to begin an investigation. Within hours, a thorough police investigation took place, and as a result, this individual is no longer employed with Centerville City Schools. I wanted to share that kind of as a reminder because tonight I think you're going to hear some things that we're trying to do differently. This incident was understandably raised lots of questions and concerns from our parents and our community. While we could never have predicted something like this from happening here in our district, we do not take these things lightly. This incident has caused us to stop and to pause, reflect, and take a deeper look at every aspect of our hiring process, our staff procedures, and most importantly, our student safety practices. While we have always had sound processes in place that comply with legal requirements, including background checks and licensure requirements for employees who work with our students, we can always learn, evaluate, and improve those processes. And so tonight, when Tammy Durup and Katie Thornton come to the podium, I think you're going to hear some changes, I think, that are going to be beneficial for our programming for our students as we move forward.
Good evening. So, for those that don't know, I am Tammy Drurup. I am transitioning a little bit in my position to being the Director of Secondary Student Services, keeping preschool under me. And we have a new partner, which is Katie Thornton.
Hello. I am transitioning currently from being the principal of Stingley Elementary over to the K-5 Student Services Director. So excited to be here.
So tonight we just want to talk a little bit about some of the changes that have been happening since really about May 1st. So May 1st is actually when Katie was announced that she accepted the position and she was joining the central office team. Some of those first things we did is we started building our partnership. So Katie and I have worked together in the past. She was a special education coordinator at one point in time, probably during the worst time to be a special ed coordinator, because that was during that COVID time. So no one wants to be a special ed coordinator at that time. But then also as her being a building principal. So now we've just changed a little bit in what that partnership looks like. So we started out by just having some weekly meetings, just the two of us, to talk about the student services department. I do want to clarify a little bit. So, there's these names that get tossed around. Is it the student services department? Is it the special ed department? Is it the student services and special ed department? It's really just the student services department, because student services is truly encompassing of all. So instead of trying to make it more complex than what we need, we're going with just a straight student services. We've already added in secondary and elementary. So we just talked about what we needed to do and looking at and making decisions together. The one thing that we want the district to realize and understand is we are partners. So, it doesn't really matter if it's elementary, if it's secondary, we're going to be making decisions together because they're for what is in the best interest of all of our students and staff. We sent out a survey to our staff just to get a baseline data point for what our staff is really looking for from our department. What would they like to see happen? How would they like to see things go? I'm going to tell you, we'll never meet 100%. We realize that, but it's just nice to kind of see what some visions were from the staff. And then we're always centering our work. It's always about our students and our staff in the district. So we're going to continue to work together to put those shared visions in place in the future.
Okay. Those of you who know me know that I love to dream, and so we have some big things happening ahead of us this next year. So we're excited. We have our desk review, which is we were selected as cohort 1A from the state. So we are under a desk review currently, which consists of an internal monitoring process that we will be continuing. And they call it a cross-functional team, but we are calling it a leadership team here in our district. So we have both those teams set up and ready to meet this year to really work on student services initiatives. Okay. We have Jackie Vollmer coming back as a low incident coach. So we're excited for her to work with our students with extended standards. We have 2 professional development tracks. We have behavioral and mental health and our low incident professional development that we'll be offering here in our district. We are going to do a skills program study for those students in that mid-level resource room to make sure we're serving those students appropriately and providing inclusion opportunities as much as possible. We continue to have MTSS aligned supports, especially with behavioral needs and SEL needs, and in partnership with our curriculum department. Our K-5 buildings have moved to student response teams to support students' behavioral needs, and we will be sending out monthly district communication to kind of keep everybody up to speed of what's going on in the student services department. And then we are updating our diapering, toileting, and cell phone policy and guidance. And it's all going to be found on our new staff website, which will house all the information for our district staff.
So for toileting and diapering policies, as a district, we've always had diapering policies, not necessarily toileting policies. This past school year, the Department of Education and Workforce came out with it's about a 13-page guidance document on toileting and diapering. Then in July, the Department of Children and Youth just released more guidance. So the way that this actually works is in preschool falls under the Department of Children and Youth. They do not fall under the Department of Education and Workforce. So for some reason, they never, ever talk together. So we have multiple policies that we're always trying to balance out, and then we're trying to come up with what should the district do. Just going to tell you from experience, no one wants to read a 13-page document that tells you what maybe you should do. So what we've actually done is we have taken those policies and our previous policy, blended them together. Our true policy is longer than these 2-page These are just our one-pagers that are going to be in all of our restrooms where we are assisting students or diapering students. So these will be posted in all of those. And really, it's just a reminder of the things we need to do. You know, when we think about this, we have students that have, you know, cognitive disabilities or significant disabilities. And then we have other students that are typical developing students that also need assistance with toileting or diapering. That is not something anyone enjoys, but the whole idea behind this is to do it with dignity and respect, and also to teach as much independence as we possibly can for our students. The one thing that we had added, as you will see, is there are no cell phones. So we have also implemented radios in all of our buildings they're really like little walkie-talkies for all of our staff to be carrying with them, because I think staff have become a little too reliant on the fact that my cell phone is right here in my pocket, right? And I need some assistance, and I'm going to pull this out and I'm going to text Laura and say, hey, Laura, would you please come and help me? I need some assistance. So by providing the actual radios and requiring that everyone has those, then that should help with everything. The other thing we're going to do is our staff is going to sign off on the fact that they reviewed these policies at the beginning of the school year. So Katie and I will have that document showing that staff have reviewed these and they have signed off on them.
All right, and there'll be some things that you're familiar with that will continue. There was previously an internal monitoring process, so by state requirements, we will continue doing that. We'll have the CPAC. We'll still keep going our parent organization. We'll still be meeting with the sub-departments, school psychology, speech, occupational therapy, physical therapy. We'll be meeting with them. We still have the contract. It was formerly South Community. It's now Primary Health Solutions for mental health services. It will continue our contract with the ESC for related service providers. And then our coordinator, school psychs, and related services will still remain in their building assignments.
So again, just to wrap out, you know, we're committed to being visible and accessible all year to the staff. So the staff is going to see both of us together a lot, just so we can get that message across. So when we're working with those subgroups, we're always going to be together as much as possible. Sometimes our jobs pull us in different directions and we have things that we have to address. But the idea is for everyone to understand that we're here and we have a new partnership as we're taking the department forward. Any questions tonight?
Could you please, just for anyone who doesn't know, to say what MTSS line supports mean? What does the MTSS mean?
Oh, yeah. Our multi-tiered systems of support. So those are intervention processes that we partnership with our curriculum department on.
Any more questions?
Other questions? Okay,
Great
thank
job.
you.
Thank you. Next is Magsig Roof Urgent Necessity. Mr. Kogel, already there.
Thank you. As Laura mentioned, facilities and facility needs. Back again to talk about Magsig and urgent necessity there. And so Magsig's roof was installed in 2005. It's an EPDM roof. It was installed by Cotterman with a 20-year warranty by Carlisle. Last year in the summer, we started to notice issues of kind of a wave. When the wind would blow, there's kind of a wave where the rubber would basically be waves on the roof, which I'll be able to show you here in just a second. And so that warranty expired last summer, right at the beginning of September. And we were able to get those repairs made and that fixed, and felt like we had a good solution that was going to be in place for an extended period of time. 20 years, 21 years for a roof, for EPDM roof is not very long. They typically last much longer than that. So this spring, we had some workers up repairing a roof leak, and they noticed some issues again. They noticed that the place that was repaired previously had come up, as well as an additional section of the roof that wind was starting to have those same issues. Again, it's currently holding in place. It's not leaking, but again, on wind gusts like today that we just had a few minutes ago, those are a concern. So there's been an ongoing conversation with both companies regarding the fix, whether or not that was going to be covered by warranty, whether it was or was not. And finally, we came to the determination that replacement was the only option that was going to ensure this repair. And so the section that needs to be replaced is kind of the west side. It does get that west wind. There's been an ongoing issues there. A number of years ago, there was some bat issues there. We did a lot of work on that metal flashing. Not sure if that is what caused this deterioration, but basically wind is coming up underneath the roof flashing, coming up and getting underneath, and is basically, it's called delamination. It's basically separated the rubber from the roof itself. And so in this next picture, I think you'll get an idea of what I'm talking about. So this is a video that's captured from the roof, and you can see that it looks like kind of waves, so to speak, on the roof itself. There's still water on the roof. It's still holding. It's not leaking in, but that you can see the tree there shaking. That west wind is coming up underneath that roof flashing, getting underneath there, and causing that to take place. And so really the only solution is to tear off and to install. We're looking at a 60 mil EPDM with a 20-year warranty. The timing is still undetermined. We've done some roof repairs and roof replacements during school while they're in session. But this will be a tear off as well, and so we can't go back over the top. We'll have to do a complete tear off. Again, it's not the entire building, but it is a pretty decent section of the building. So the timing is still undetermined on when it will take place, but the weight that will supply us that rubber right away. We'll be able to get that rubber up on the roof immediately. We have some blocks and some other things up there right now, trying to keep that in place. But they'll be deliver that as soon as possible and get that up on the roof to help prevent that. The cost is $257,500. And again, tonight there's a resolution for approval on there for an urgent necessity.
I have a couple questions.
Sure.
This is the same company that originally installed the roof.
That's correct.
2005.
And they've done a number of other roofing projects for us in the district.
And it's the same company that's providing the materials, Carlisle and the
Correct.
warranty.
Correct.
So you mentioned earlier that a roof of this nature should typically outlast its warranty. Is there a concern that we're going back to the original companies when that didn't happen this last time?
The majority of our roofs in the district are Carlisle and were installed by Cotterman. They're a very reputable company. They are providing us a discount for this, $10,000. But again, it's just a very small percentage for that.
Okay, and I don't remember from the first slide, is this the same weight on the EP, the 60 mil? as
Yes.
What we're replacing, so it's
Yes.
like to like that we're replacing?
Correct.
Okay.
It really, the roof itself is in good shape. It's just not attached to the roof. Yeah, which is a problem. But it's still holding the water. It's preventing leaking from taking place. It's serving its purpose, but
Yeah, it hasn't been compromised necessarily. It's just
with the right wind gust, it will though. That's the problem. That's the concern.
So what about the fix didn't work, I guess, last year? I mean, obviously they knew there was an issue, right? They I'm sure represented this will fix it. So what didn't work about the fix?
So basically they've gone down and fastened that roof down into there's kind of a lightweight concrete underneath, similar to what's at Primary Village North, and it's just that bolt, that structure that they're using to anchor it back into place is not holding. So that section that they repaired last year did not hold, as well as an additional section that was not compromised last year is up and waving now as well.
And this new roof is not going to be attached to the same structure? There's no concerns about the same type of issues?
As long as we get this roof flashing in place the right way, then we'll be in good shape. We are not concerned about it now.
So is this roof for the whole all of Magsig or just the affected issue or the affected area?
This is the affected area,
Okay.
but it's well over. It's about 60% of the total roof. If you on Friday when Mr. Westy sent out the Friday update, they did kind of give me an overhead. It's the entire west side, which covers that the back portion. It's kind of a horseshoe,
Yeah.
and that larger section on the west side, all the way to the front of the building. So the original part of the building, as well as the side kind of over to the cafeteria. That's the side that is still remained in place and still good. It's the west side that's being replaced.
And did you get any other quotes from any other?
We did not.
No.
We did not. Again, they're giving us a small discount, but we felt like this was something that needed to take place, immediately.
And I guess the cost is in line with previous quotes that we've had where it wasn't urgent.
It is.
Okay, so
It is.
square foot is.
Yes.
The flashing that you mentioned, was that part of the original replacement in 2005, or is that we're thinking part of the longer term fix?
So the flashing was installed in 2005. Yes. Again, it had a bat issue for a while there, and so there was some extra material that was kind of stuffed up in there. We're not sure if that has then since deteriorated and causing that opening for that air to get in there when the wind does blow to cause that wave that you saw tonight. Yeah, this will be taken care of through the PI fund.
Thank you. Okay, last item for board administrative reports is SHP community survey. Mr. Wesney?
Thank you. So I'm going to do the report right here tonight from the table because it's just going to be a quick update. As everyone is, or I hope everyone's aware at this point, a lot of people newer people in the audience that we've been talking about our Build Out Strong program, looking at our master facilities and how we need to address our master facilities like aging facilities or buildings like Magsig Middle School. This next slide, you've seen this. I think on my last presentation, it was black and white. We just made it in color. The average age, 61 years old. My concern, I've had these conversations with community members, is if you take Magsig off the list and you take PBS off the list and you add those remaining buildings, the average age is still right at 61 years old. So it's something that we need to take a look at now and address as we move forward. We've been talking a lot about our community survey, so I'm pleased to share with you some numbers here today. Since our last meeting in June, our last board meeting, we've actually had over 400 more responses, mostly parent and guardians as you expect. But one of the areas that we've really been concentrating on is the number of community members taking the actual survey. We would like to get that number to about 400 is our goal. Obviously, the more responses, the better. So we're still trying to do our part to communicate out to our community as we move forward. We have a couple of events coming up just this week on Friday. Midnight Hits gives us an opportunity to reach out to some of our parents and excuse me, maybe some community members about taking the survey. And then we also have the ice cream social on August the 9th. And so again, the community survey will be available throughout the start of the school year. So we're trying to get as many people as possible to take the survey. Then lastly is the QR code. You can snap the QR code if you haven't seen it. We also have some additional flyers back here at the sign-in table this evening. If you haven't taken the community survey, please do so. If you know somebody who would like to take the survey, please share the information because we'd like to have their input. So that's my update on our facilities, community survey.
Any questions for Mr. Wesney? No. Okay. Oh, just.
When are they closing this survey and moving on to the next step in the plan?
We're in the process of moving on to the next step.
Okay.
That means bringing people back to have community forums in regards to the results of the survey. But SHP is going to keep this survey active until after school starts. We don't really have a closing date yet, but we want to try to capture the first few weeks that school started. So we're probably looking at the end of August, the 1st of September. But there will be additional surveys that we're going to send out to the community in addition to this one in the future.
Thank you.
Okay. Anything else?
I just have one question. When we do these presentations and we're talking about the age of the buildings as kind of one of the primary drivers for the facility planning. I know you and I've kind of talked a little bit about the other piece that struck me when we did the tour with SHP was how many of our buildings, when we talk so much about student safety throughout the district, it was striking to go through so many of the buildings and realize that there are some concerning areas where we don't have an entrance that goes straight to an office, or there is not necessarily a direct line of sight from an office to a door. Is that a point that's coming up in some of these communications? Is it something that we're discussing as we start to look at plans? Will we prioritize making sure that every building has that kind of safe and secure entrance?
Yeah, I think that has to be a priority. If you think about some of our facilities, and we did have this conversation, some of our buildings were built as high schools at one point, and now they're housing, students in grades 2 through 5. Or at Magsig, used to be a former high school building where we had high school students there. So there are some things that we need to do from a safety standpoint that would be beneficial and help, because those standards and features weren't available, 60, 70 years ago. That is going to be a topic that we'll bring forward with SHP in our community conversations and our forums. It's a good question. Anything else?
Kathy, Mark, any? Okay, last call. Okay, moving on to treasurer's recommendations. Consider approving the June 2026 financial statements, the monthly general fund rolling report, monthly cash reconciliation, monthly fund activity report, then and out purchase orders approved by administration, certified by the treasurer, and supported by the board resolution, totaling $33,782.99. Can I have a motion, please?
So moved.
Second.
Ms. Sauber, can I have the roll, please?
Kathy Crippen?
Yeah.
Mrs. Dernbaugh?
Yes.
Dr. Graff?
Yes.
Mr. Peters?
Yes.
Megan Sparks?
Yes. Consider approving the minutes of the following Board of Education meetings: June 22nd, 2026 regular meeting, July 20th, 2026 work session. Can I have a motion, please?
So moved.
Second.
Ms. Sauber, can I have the roll, please?
Kathy Crippen?
Yes.
Mrs. Dernbaugh?
Yes.
Dr. Graff?
Yes.
Mr. Peters?
Yes.
Megan Sparks?
Yes. Consider approving the fiscal year 2027 original certificate estimated oh my goodness, resources in the amount of $270,103,946.73.
So moved.
Second. Ms. Sauber, can I have the roll, please?
So we have a
Yeah.
little discussion.
I'm sorry.
information.
Yes, I'm
Sure.
sorry.
Happy to explain what that is. This is a document that is required by the county auditor's office, certifying our beginning of the year balances along with our estimated revenues for the year. This is for all funds. So it's general fund, all of our grants, student activities, you name the fund, and it's all of them.
Permanent improvement.
Permanent improvement fund, our debt service fund, every fund that we have. And so again, that's just the total of our beginning balances plus our estimated revenue.
Okay, good. Any more questions?
Okay.
Ms. Sauber, can I have the roll, please?
Kathy Crippen?
Yes.
Mrs. Dernbaugh?
Yes.
Dr. Graff?
Yes.
Mr. Peters?
Yes.
Megan Sparks?
Yes. Consider authorizing the treasurer to repay advance funds in the general fund from the following funds. Fund 022, $150,000. Can I have a motion, please?
So moved.
Second.
Ms. Sauber, can I have the roll, please?
Kathy Crippen?
Yes.
Mrs. Dernbaugh?
Yes.
Dr. Graff?
Yes.
Mr. Peters?
Yes.
Megan Sparks?
Yes. Okay, superintendent's recommendation. The superintendent recommends accepting resignations unlisted on Schedule A. The superintendent recommends the change of employment status or change of contract status for the certificated personnel listed on Schedule B for the salaries, programs, and on the effective dates given. The superintendent recommends the employment or change of employment status for the support staff personnel listed on Schedule C for the salaries, programs, and on the effective dates given. The superintendent recommends the employment of the personnel listed on Schedules D and D1 for supplemental contracts or extra duty assignments. The superintendent recommends the granting of leaves of absence for the personnel listed on Schedule E for the reasons and on the dates given. Can I have a motion, please?
So moved.
Second.
Can I have the roll, please, Ms. Sauber?
Kathy Crippen?
Yes.
Mrs. Dernbaugh?
Yes.
Dr. Graff?
Yes.
Mr. Peters?
Yes.
Megan Sparks?
Yes. Consider approving the bus routes for the 2026-2027 school year with authorization for the supervisors of transportation to adjust routes as necessary. Can I have a motion, please?
So moved. Second.
Is there any discussion on this? No? Can I have the roll, please, Ms. Sauber?
Kathy Crippen?
Yes.
Mrs. Dernbaugh?
Yes.
Dr. Graff?
Yes.
Mr. Peters?
Yes.
Megan Sparks?
Yes. Consider approving the urgent necessity for immediate roofing repair needed for 2 sections of roof at Magsig Middle School to be performed by the Cotterman and Company. Can I have a motion, please?
So moved.
Second.
Don't think there's any talk about this one.
No.
All right. Can I have the roll call, please, Ms. Sauber?
Kathy Crippen?
Yes.
Mrs. Dernbaugh?
Yes.
Dr. Graff?
Yes.
Mr. Peters?
Yes.
Megan Sparks?
Yes. Consider approving the changes to the following Board of Education policies as listed in the agenda. Can I have a motion, please?
So moved.
Second.
Is there any conversation for any of this?
We're revisiting a couple that are not on this list, correct? We're the grading and the
There's 2 grading. We also talked about policy 6220 last week that had to do with the carryover balance
yes.
and that language on what the action the board is supposed to take. And so we'll get that. We're looking at that. Just haven't got to that yet at this point.
Any other questions? Can I have the roll, please, Ms. Sauber?
Kathy Crippen?
Yes.
Mrs. Dernbaugh?
Yes.
Dr. Graff?
Yes.
Mr. Peters?
Yes.
Megan Sparks?
Yes. Consider approving the 2026-2027 school fees for preschool, elementary, middle, and high school students. May I have a motion, please?
So moved. Second.
Any discussion? May I have the roll call, please?
Kathy Crippen?
Yes.
Mrs. Dernbaugh?
Yes.
Dr. Graff?
Yes.
Mr. Peters?
Yes.
Megan Sparks?
Yes. Consider approving the preschool, I'm sorry, I just did that one. Consider approving the miscellaneous pay rates for 2026-2027.
I think
This
we did
is
skip
the
number
hand-
6.
We did.
This is a
Skip it. Oh, well, just kidding. We're going to go back to 6, everybody. Consider approving the preschool, elementary, middle school, and high school student handbook for the 2026-2027 school year. Can I have a motion, please?
So moved. Second.
Any discussion?
I actually have some questions, and I apologize, Mr. Carroll. I was out of town and didn't have a chance to get in touch with you. The copy you provided us, and I feel like this was just an oversight. I just wanted to. Oh, sorry. Yes. While you're headed there, on page 8, the copy you provided us still lists the 25-26 calendar, even though it's headed as 26-27. So I just wanted to make sure that that was addressed.
Yeah, we'll change all the calendars out.
And I think it's moved to more of an electronic, so that link is in there.
Yes.
And then the other thing that I noticed is it looks as though the section, and it's on page 20 and again on 22, traffic accidents on school grounds looks to be duplicated in there.
I'll double check that. We'll strike one of those out.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I don't know that it matters where it ends up. And then the other one that I had a question on is there is a section just prior to that on page 20. It's use or sale. It's headed as use, sale, or possession of fireworks. And that's how it's titled. But then under, and it lists possession, sale, distribution, or use of fireworks on school property, blah, blah, blah. But under consequences, everything referencing fireworks seems to have been struck through. And I was just wondering about that because it seemed inconsistent with the heading and the detail of the policy being addressed in the handbook.
I can take a look at that. I think we were trying to clean up redundant language and then also remove, if I recall that page, some of the items that kind of tell the superintendent what to do versus giving the superintendent flexibility. But I can look at that one again.
Okay.
Yeah. I'll go to the high school staff and high school administrative staff and we'll take a quick look.
Okay. Do we approve it this evening? How do we proceed with this then?
I'd like to move forward to approving it so that we can have it ready when school starts at the
Okay.
beginning. I think the fireworks, right, is just, I think the original, if I remember right, I know I talked to Mrs. Rigo about this, was like an automatic expulsion to the superintendent for having that. I think provide some flexibility with that language being removed, if I understand that correctly, that it could be discipline within the building, not necessarily an automatically trip to see superintendent, if I recall that correctly.
Yeah, I think that was the primary it kept repeating things and was talking about expulsion as like an automatic, but I'll go with.
And that's fine. It just concerned me that it was like fireworks, and then under consequences, that term was never used. So it just seemed, like I said, a little inconsistent. Just an extra set of eyes on that.
Sure. Thank you.
Did you want to see that, Mr. Carroll? Did you?
I'll pull up the electronic copy when I get back to my seat. So
Sorry.
All right. Thank you.
Okay. So go ahead and move forward. Okay. We already did a motion, correct? So can I have the roll call, please, Ms. Sauber?
Kathy Crippen,
Yes.
Mrs. Dernbaugh,
Yes.
Dr. Graff, yes, Mr. Peters,
Yes.
Megan Sparks.
Yes. This is Board of Education recommendations.
Number 7.
How did I keep messing that up? It's because I checked it off. Okay, I'm sorry. I apologize, everybody. Consider approving the miscellaneous pay rates for the 2026-2027 school year. Can I have a motion, please?
So moved.
Second. Is there any discussion on this one? No? Okay. May I have the roll, please?
Kathy Crippen,
Yes.
Mrs. Dernbaugh,
Yes.
Dr. Graff,
Yes.
Mr. Peters,
Yes.
Megan Sparks.
Yes. Now I'm going to do Board of Education recommendations. Consider approving the First Amendment to the 2025 through 2030 contract between Superintendent John T. Wesley and the Centerville City Schools District Board of Education. May I have a motion, please?
So moved.
Second.
Any conversation? Nope, we're good. Can I have a roll call, please?
Kathy Crippen,
Yes.
Mrs. Dernbaugh,
Yes.
Dr. Graff,
Yes.
Mr. Peters,
Yes.
Megan Sparks.
Yes. Final comments regarding past or old business from the Board of Education. Do I have anything?
Can I give just a quick reminder?
Yes.
If everybody has the draft of the legislative platform and your draft of the OSBA legislative platform, and you can get me your suggestions or top priorities to include, I will have another draft ready before the next work session.
Okay.
So
Good.
Mr. Wesley, do you have?
Yes, I'd like to make just a quick announcement. So, in our last board meeting here in June, we obviously experienced some technical difficulties with our microphones. Just would like to say thanks to Brian Morgan here at the high school. He does a lot of our theater work in the district. We realized there was some interference that we were getting from the microphones, needed to update the system within our next meeting, 4 weeks. He was able to get the system in place. And so they are pretty sensitive, as we were learning tonight on the fly, but it sounds much better. And I also want to thank Brian for his work. I also want to thank Shannon Morgan, the IT department, for making sure that that happened and the new microphones are in place. And hopefully everyone can hear us loud and clear. So thank you.
Thank you. Just confirming tomorrow for the SHP meeting, it will be Mr. Peters and Ms. Crippen, correct?
Yep.
And then finally, I believe happy birthday is in order for Mrs. Durenball.
Thank you.
Hope you had a good day. Sorry we're late on that one.
Didn't know that.
So, anything else? Very good. Okay. So pursuant to Ohio Revised Code, Section 121.22G1, I hereby move that the board adjourn to executive session, consider the employment or compensation of public employees of the school district. No other business will be conducted except to come out of executive session to adjourn. Can I have a motion, please?
So moved.
Second?
Ms. Sauber, can I have the roll, please?
Kathy Crippen,
Yes.
Mrs. Dernbaugh,
Yes.
Dr. Graff,
Yes.
Mr. Peters,
Yes.
Megan Sparks.
Yes. Okay, I'm sorry for all my mistakes tonight. Next month will be better.